Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. A bunch of Avengers Doomsday footage just hit the timeline, so we will break it all down. It is very potato quality, but you can make out what's happening, and it's a big comp to the big Circle 360 shot, the famous one they did in the first Avengers movie. But you have the X-Men team, the Fantastic Four, and the new Avengers characters all there at the same time. So it's like the supersized version of that moment from the first Avengers movie. Give us the biggest multiverse Avengers assemble that you've ever heard until Avengers Secret Wars when it gets even bigger. While this was happening, Chris Evans also separately confirmed that he is coming back for Avengers Secret Wars, so I'll talk about that at the end of the video too, because it's a pretty interesting video for him to drop. Starting at the beginning of the new footage, even though it might be potato quality, it is still pretty informative here. We actually see what looks like the big turn in the movie in Avengers Doomsday, where Doctor Doom reveals himself as the antagonist, and all the other teams of heroes unite together to fight him instead of fighting each other. Because what seems like is happening here is you actually start the trailer and you see Doctor Doom in his armor slam his fist on the ground and create a spell, a green energy here flowing out. It's his magic, and it looks like what's happening is that his spell is actually activating all the Sentinels, and they're in the middle of this battlefield, so the Sentinels have already been destroyed, like they've stopped the Sentinels, and all this rubble, if you couldn't tell, is the X-Mansion. They're outside the X-Mansion here, and all the new Avengers and the Fantastic Four have come from their separate worlds to the X-Men's world because an incursion has brought all the planets close enough, like 3 planets, so they can travel between them pretty easily. So I'm assuming that this scene that we're seeing here actually happens right after the Cinemacon trailer footage, and in that trailer footage, you actually see Thor Bifrost to the X-Men's world, and they actually start fighting each other, like the X-Men start fighting the new Avengers characters that are there, and Reed Richards, the Fantastic Four, are there too. Picture him doing his entrance from Avengers Infinity War in Wakanda, but it's at the X-Mansion, and he's screaming to bring him the X-Men. Bring me X-Men. But the only Fantastic Four character I actually see in this new trailer that leaked out is actually Reed Richards, so Reed Richards might be the only person here. I don't know if Ben Grimm and Sue Storm are also here too, or Johnny Storm is also in the background somewhere. There's a quick close-up shot on Robert Downey Jr. Doctor Doom's face underneath the mask, but you can't quite make out that it's him, like a little bit. You know it's him under the mask, so you're kind of looking for Robert Downey Jr.'s features. But it does give you a much better look at what his actual armor and his mask looks like and what his face looks like under the mask. There was no audio that leaked out with the trailer footage, so I don't know exactly what he's saying during this scene too, but it's probably just the words of the spell that he's weaving. While Doctor Doom's now Sentinels that he controls start to reanimate, they start glowing with green energy, like the eyes start glowing green. They also did that during X-Men 97, where the Sentinels' eyes glow green, but for a different reason, because the Russos are kind of doing their own thing with the characters. In Robert Downey Jr., Doctor Doom's magic is color-coded green, kind of like Loki's magic. Then they start cutting to shots of all the different characters picking themselves up out of the rubble of the recent battle that the new Avengers have had with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. It's sort of like a 3-on-3 kind of fight that's been going on until Doctor Doom reveals himself as the villain. It starts floating in the air, like he goes up into the air, and as the camera starts to do that pan 360 shot around like the first Avengers movie with all the different characters sort of rallying, coming together as 3 different teams fighting together against Doctor Doom, it sort of looks like we're getting a Doctor Doom villain monologue kind of scene where he lays it out for them as he turns the Sentinels on them. If you couldn't tell, this is Thor offering a hand to Steve Rogers. He picks himself up. Steve Rogers is wielding Mjolnir again, but he has long hair. Thor, notice, doesn't have the sleeves. We saw his costume during the trailer they released officially a little while ago. He's still wielding Stormbreaker. This is actually a much better shot of what Steve Rogers looks like with long hair and Mjolnir that leaked out last year a while ago. Like, this is actually a pretty old image, but this is basically what he's going to look like in the movie. You can kind of tell from the pixelated footage. This is basically it. Them fighting together, wielding Mjolnir and Stormbreaker together, is meant to be a comp back to Avengers Endgame when they had a similar scene like this, wielding both weapons together, back to back. Doctor Doom starts picking himself up out of the battle before he starts floating up in the air. He's glowing green with magic, weaving a spell. Then it's kind of hard to tell who this person is in the foreground that's standing up. I can't tell if this is Shuri Black Panther or someone else. I know that Bucky is here too, and I can't see Bucky super clear during this footage, so it might be him.
Okay, how much for the arm? Oh, I'll get that arm.
We get our first look at Yelena Belova in the movie, dumbfounded by the Sentinels reanimating after they just downed them. We've actually already gotten some better footage of the Sentinels. They're designed to look just like the classic 90s designs also used during X-Men 97. We get a real quick shot of Shang-Chi with the 10 rings all charged up, glowing with energy, back to back with what looks like Nightcrawler, who has white hair now later in the timeline. Alan Cumming is 61 in real life, so maybe they just leaned into that. I think in the original Bryan Singer X-Men movies, Nightcrawler was meant to be like late 20s, early 30s, so get a hand wave over the timeline a little bit, like he's old enough to have white hair at this point. This is also Shang-Chi's first time seeing the Sentinels, so he's also a little bit dumbfounded too. Like, you can tell the new Avengers characters are just encountering some of this stuff for the first time, so like, what the hell is going on? What are these giant robots trying to kill us? Dr. Doom continues floating in the air, giving his villain monologue to them. We get another shot of Steve Rogers staring at him, determined. He looks kind of pissed off at this point. Captain America getting kind of pissed off. Then they start doing the 360 wraparound shots, starting with the X-Men characters. I can't quite tell who's in the foreground here, but we can tell that this is Cyclops next to him, putting up his visor, getting ready to blast his beam at Dr. Doom. As the camera rotates around, if you couldn't tell with the cloak here, this is Gambit, played by Channing Tatum. He is back. They're confirming that this is his X-Men team, basically. There was a teaser at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine where somebody opened a sling ring and rescued him from the void, but they never revealed who that was. I'm assuming now that that was taking him to this planet, to the X-Men's world. One of the big gags in the movie is that he wasn't sure where he came from, like what world he came from. I don't know if I was born on the void or if I was born somewhere else with another X-Men team, which is meant to be a reference to his Gambit movie, which was going to cross over with a lot of these X-Men characters that they did during the previous X-Men movies, but that got canceled after the big Disney buyout. We get a real quick shot of Nightcrawler teleporting in next to the X-Men as part of this big 360 wraparound, also while Mystique is there too. This time they are giving Mystique more clothes to actually wear. She's not going to be naked for like the entire movie. This Captain America with the shield jumping into the roster wraparound here is meant to be Sam Wilson's Captain America. All the Sentinels have started to stand up and are moving closer to them, encircling all the three different teams now. The camera wraps around to Yelena Belova, who flexes her muscles, her weapons, then Shang-Chi jumps into the circle too. We finally see Reed Richards jump in using his powers too, also now wearing the jacket that he's going to be wearing during this movie. All the Fantastic Four, except for Ben Grimm, have these special jackets that they're wearing in the film.
Ben, Yancey Street, between Broome and Grand.
But basically, the rest of their costumes are the same costumes that you saw them in at the end of the Fantastic Four movie. Not that much time has gone by since that post-credit scene in the Fantastic Four film. Thor drops in without the sleeves with Stormbreaker, ready to fight. Steve Rogers drops in, then holds up Mjolnir to remind you that he's still wielding Thor's hammer. We get a much better shot of all of them posted up, just like that first Avengers movie, but now there are way more characters. Then the camera pans to Cyclops as he opens up his blast against the Sentinels, and the Sentinels all open fire on them, circled around them. And all hell breaks loose, and everybody starts running for it, trying to duck and dodge around all the Sentinels' beams. So generally, the timeline of events seems like it's happening right after the events of the Cinemacon trailer, where the new Avengers see that the incursion is happening, then they bifrost to the X-Men's world, start fighting them because they don't know who the X-Men are, like they've never met them before, and they think that they're hostile. The X-Men also think that the new Avengers are hostile, and the Fantastic Four, or at least some of the Fantastic Four are there too, with the same thing happening to them. For the most part, the way the Russos have been hyping this up and the promos have been hyping it up is that the incursion is just these three different worlds. The Fantastic Four's world, the new Avengers, like the 616 main Marvel universe, the MCU, and the X-Men's world. We will also see how they incorporate the idea of Battle World if there are fragments of these three worlds that collide and turn into like one singular world for Avengers Secret Wars, or if they also incorporate the concept of the Void, because the Void also kind of functions like Battle World in the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars. But at least in the Cinemacon trailer footage, Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom was talking to the X-Men before their big fight with the new Avengers, but before the incursion, explaining that they were going to have to make some hard decisions. And I think the idea is that Dr. Doom is trying to convince the X-Men that they need to destroy the 616 Earth in order to save their X-Men universe. So then everybody shows up because of the incursion, all puts them in proximity with each other, they fight, but then they realize that they're not the enemies, like they're technically working together, they should be working together, and the real villain is Dr. Doom, who reveals his hand and then reanimates the Sentinels and tries to kill all of them. You can let me know which characters you think walk out of this fight with Dr. Doom here after he reanimates the Sentinels against them. Are they going to kill off any characters, or do they all survive? Rules of big movies like this is that you always got to kill at least like one or two people in order for there to be some stakes somewhere in the film. My assumption is that some of the lower level X-Men actors are on the chopping block, but like Chris Evans confirmed that he's coming back. This is the actual video where he says that he's coming back for Avengers Secret Wars.
Which kind of sounds like he wants some Avengers secrets. I can't give secrets. I can't. What can I give you though? I can tell you that I start work on the next one in a couple months. So I'm in the next one. There's that. I can't tell you how much I'm in the next one, but I'm in it. So that's something. That's something. That's just, it's crumbs, but it's all I can do. You know the deal. Marvel's, they're too strict.
My assumption based on the way he's talking about that is that he's coming back as that version of Steve Rogers that we see in Avengers Doomsday. He survives the events of Doomsday, and it's not going to be like some other, yet again, version of Steve Rogers from another universe that he's playing. We already have several different versions of Captain America in Avengers Doomsday, just to begin with. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you think you spotted any Easter eggs or references in the very, very potato quality footage that I didn't talk about during the video, just write it below in the comments. Maybe we'll get more potato quality footage like this in the meantime, but hopefully they'll release a shiny HD version of the trailer sometime soon, probably when Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out. And speaking of which, we're supposed to get the first official, real big Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer on Wednesday morning. My video for that will post as soon as possible, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. I've already done a video for the leaked version of that trailer. Click here for that, and click here for all my other Avengers Doomsday and Spider-Man Brand New Day videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.